Well, thank you very much. It was a very nice introduction. It is indeed a pleasure to be back at the World Bank after more than 10 years of full-time fun work. I know very few of us would probably call it fun, but when you're out of the bank, you really know that you have had fun work. You find a lot of like-minded people. And it's very nice to be back with my lifelong friends, two of which are actually sitting at this panel, Klaus and Eleuterio. Well, thank you very much again. And before I start presenting you a bit about what is this book all about, it would not be fair for me not to acknowledge 12 extraordinary academics that sat by my side while for 2 years I was writing this book, and they were reviewing my manuscript several times. Sometimes a chapter was reviewed more than 20 times, believe it or not. This book started by being 400 pages, and now it's only 170. But the reviews possibly are the reason why it is so expensive. But some of the reviewers are here today. Thank you, all of you, very much. And I would like to thank especially Francis for staying and giving mainly not only just the rigor and the discipline of the manuscript, but, you know, writing about something that is not as extraordinary as peace, love, and, you know, green and whatever else. It can get tiring, and it was 2 years. It was rather slow occasionally, and my reviewers were my good friends who stood by me and had me finish it. So let me start telling you, what is this book all about? What is Prosperity Unbound all about? Well, Prosperity Unbound, if anything else, after you read this book, it would be great that you come up with the following conclusion. It discusses the fact that distressed markets are a reason of a disparity of wealth and not a disparity of income. So it's actually, distressed markets have a very, very large wealth disparity. And by that we mean wealth that it is locked in illiquid assets. Illiquid assets are nothing else but assets that we can see, that are tangible, such as property and real estate, but however are not securely owned, and as a result of which they become locked up. They become locked up in their ability to be traded. So when we have non-secure ownership rights, and we have, as a result, high risk associated with it, and another result would be uncertain valuation associated with it, and a social result will be social discontent associated with it. Now, the reason why we have illiquid assets, the reason why we have these wealth disparity, is because the actual system that produces the tradability of these assets, a property rights system, is broken. And I will explain a little better what that means later, but a broken property rights system is a system which provides, instead of providing a secure right over your asset, in other words, providing you a right that you can trade in the market and reflects all public information that the asset has, somewhere along that line, something is missing. So, and while we have a broken system and something is missing, we end up having an oxymoron. Real property with unreal characteristics, because it's not really tradable. It's not easily tradable. So in the book, I present the theory of institutional economics, the theory of property rights, the importance, the theoretical importance of why property rights are important for growth, economic growth, and so on. But the most important part is, and the most difficult part is, and where my reviewers were really very pivotal for, was to actually weave in this theory together with the practice, to weave the theory together with the actual stories of reform in the field. So the idea was to not make it into a boring book, so you guys can actually enjoy it the same way I read it every now and then when I have to make a presentation and say, darn, that was a nice written story here about Deborah Thomas, for example, who I hope she's going to show up a little bit later. Oh, here she is, Deborah Thomas. Please join us in a nice little seat someplace. So, weaving in the theory and practice is the major aspect of this book that leads us into how. So we all know, we have learned by far today that we are aware that property rights are important. But how do we get there? How do we manage to close the gap between non-secure owners and secure owners? How do we manage to close the gap of that welfare disparity I was mentioning earlier? How do we manage to actually tap those savings that are stuck in these illiquid assets and promote further investment? And how can we manage to address an increasingly growing inequality that persists globally and does not seem to be coming into any solution? And it actually touches even markets that seem to be immune until now.